Hello and welcome back to SAFC Fan TV. The Euros have begun in England and won our first game of the tournament, 1-0 against Croatia. Lovely to get one over on Croatia after the events of a few years ago in the World Cup, of course. The first time I think we've actually ever won the first game of the Euros as well. I'm joined by Conrad to talk about the game. Conrad, obviously great result, 1-0, kicking things off in good fashion, but as well, a great performance, in my opinion. I'm very confident going forward. I thought we were great today.
Yeah, it was a really nice sort of calming performance. We didn't really let Croatia have a single chance that I can actually think of. I think Pickford made one save, but that was only when everyone had stopped playing because Modric had given away a free kick, so he didn't have to do anything all game. Before the game, I was talking to friends of mine. I just wanted a calm, assured performance from the team. Like a draw wouldn't have been the worst result, but obviously we've taken the win. It'd have been nice to get 2 or 3, but I'm not going to be picky. I just sort of like, we've got the win, we've got the 3 points, we've put ourselves in great stead already to qualify because of the rule of the 4 teams in third place that can go through. So no, very happy with the whole performance. Really, it was actually very, very nice for a change.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, when I saw the team selection in particular, I wasn't really confident going today, and I probably would have taken a draw. No Grealish. Trippier was at left back. A few eyebrows even raised the likes of Sterling and Phillips being in there. But I mean, them two that I've just mentioned both had great games, really, probably the 2 man of the matches if you had to put them away. We'll get into that in a second, really. But it just worked today. And I think overall, as a team performance, it was just great. I think even in the World Cup a few years ago, of course, we went all the way to the semi-final, but I can't really remember one time where we kind of left the game or finished the game thinking that was a good performance. But today, like you say, I don't think Croatia ever really challenged us. And to be honest with you, I put that down to probably our midfield. If anything, I thought defensively we were pretty assertive. I thought Pickford did well when he was called upon. His distribution as always was great. But I think the midfield in particular worked today. I mean, just while I'm on it, Calvin Phillips today, my man of the match, absolutely fantastic performance, brilliant. He was like a little terrier. Had the likes of Modric and Kovacic in the back pocket. But I thought we looked really fluid. Is something I would say. We kind of play with the 2 holding midfielders and then the 3 behind Kane. But there was times, particularly in the first half, when the likes of Mount were just like dropping so deep to pick up the ball. Calvin Phillips was getting himself right up into the final third, of course, with that great ball into Sterling. But like I say, it was for the first time in a while. It doesn't normally happen when England play, but I just thought overall it was a really strong, solid performance. I thought the midfield was brilliant today, really.
Yeah, they were, like you say, Calvin Phillips, absolute man of the match performance all day. I think they gave it to Sterling in the end, but I think that's because he scored. But yeah, Rice was again great. There was a couple of times where when Croatia did sort of threaten and they were doing those cutback sort of crosses, Rice just knew to cut out the penalty line that was a cutback as the defence had all dropped back, and he just calmly sort of took control of the ball and cleared his lines. Like you say, Mount came deep to get it sometimes, even though he's part of the front 3. I thought Kane was a bit, if I had to be horrible, Kane was a bit ineffective today, but he was always really deep, like a lot deeper than you'd want him. Like there was a couple of times where we sort of hoofed the ball clear and you thought, right, Kane challenged the 2 centre-backs here, and he was still only like 10 yards further forward than the player who'd cleared it out, and it was just going to come back. So that's my one negative, really, that Kane wasn't involved in the game as much as I would have liked him to have been. But you can't complain. Like I think in the World Cup we didn't have a 3-man midfield. We were just playing with like Henderson or Dyer, I think, sitting in front, and it just looks so much better. Like you say, we just controlled the middle of the park, really, and we never let Croatia have a chance, really.
He did have a little bit of a quiet game, like you say, Harry Kane. I think his style is just to drop a bit deep. I mean, I don't really watch any Premier League, but from what I do know about Harry Kane, I do think he likes to move around the pitch quite a bit and get a little bit deeper at times and almost kind of operate in a midfield role at times. And he did have a little bit of a quiet game today. I mean, ultimately, it doesn't really matter. He is probably going to be quite important in this tournament if we do manage to go the distance or even go a decent way through the tournament. I think we'll be looking back at him as someone who's probably going to get a few goals to his name. But I understand what you're saying. Man of the match, then. I mean, I've made it clear who I thought mine was.
I completely agree with you. It was Calvin Phillips. Like from the moment the team was picked, and a few of my mates that I was with or the others were a bit like, "Ooh, that's the risky one." And just to come out and have such an assured performance as he did, where, like you say, just Modric and Kovacic were just pocketed for the entire the entire game. He even had that great volley from one of the shots as well, and even another one where I think he'd given away a foul, but he still tested the keeper from it there. And then, of course, he got the assist for Raheem's goal, sort of bursting out of the midfield, little cutback and a through ball. Like, you can't look past Calvin Phillips. He was the best player on the park by a mile.
I mean, looking at Croatia's midfield, you've got to, even just think something's got to stop the likes of Modric and Kovacic being effective. But Calvin was just absolutely everywhere today. Like I say, he was like a little terrier, just here, there, and everywhere, constantly putting tackles in, closing people down, making the difference. And like you say, I mean, Sterling was a good finish from Sterling, and Sterling had a great game today. But that pass was just inch perfect, brilliant weight on it. And to be honest, when the team got announced, he was one of the players that I was questioning. I think Trippier at left back over Shaw, Chilwell, Saka, someone like that, and then having him in there above maybe Henderson, or just having him in there in general, it wasn't something that I was particularly pleased about. But I actually thought he was, like I say, he was the best player on the pitch today, in my opinion. Absolutely everywhere, and when he was on the ball, he was good as well. It wasn't just his off the ball work; he was, overall just a fantastic performance from a really.
The Trippier one's interesting because I said to a friend of mine, I reckon Gareth picked him and Sterling today based on they played Croatia last time and they were involved in the World Cup team. So I think it was more of an experience call today that Shaw and Chilwell, yes, we know what we want, but that's why Trippier was there to be like, what to expect from them. And the same with Sterling, that even though he doesn't score a lot for England, we know he helps Kane a lot, and he did in the last World Cup, whereas Sterling was the reason Kane got so many goals, really, like not from assists or anything, but just drawing players away. So I think it was a trust thing that Gareth brought them in to be like, I know what you can do, and that's what we're going to do. I wouldn't be surprised if against Scotland, you see a different left back or Sancho in for Sterling just to mix it, or even Grealish, just to sort of mix it up a bit.
I mean, as much as we're saying that was a great performance today, you can't really knock much of it. And of course, we got the result that we needed to. There's nothing against Kieran Trippier, but I don't really want to see him at left back for the rest of the tournament. And I hope it was a case of something like that today. I just think when you've got proper left backs who've had good seasons, which I would consider all three of them, two of them. I know Bukayo Saka's more of a forward, but I know he's played plenty of games at left back. I'm not sure if as much recently, but I know he has done many times since he came into the first team at Arsenal. I would just prefer one of them to be there. It's nothing against Trippier. It's just more like if you've got a proper left back, left-footed, you get a bit more width. If you've got a left-footed left winger behind, then in front of them, then at times having a right-footed left back isn't too bad. But I think Mason Mount was the one who was officially on the left today. It just means it's difficult to kind of have someone to hold the width there. So going forward, I still prefer those things to change. But I guess that's a nice little segue going into our next fixture then, Scotland. I think it was important that we won today going into that game. You don't want to be going into that game without full confidence, with not much momentum, because they're going to be right up for that. Of course, they play tomorrow against Czech Republic, who'll be our last game. Really confident going to that game now then?
It's an interesting one. We needed to win today, really, just to stop Scotland sort of doing what teams did to us for a lot of the season, whereas coming up to Wembley and just sort of holding out for a result. Because if we'd have drawn today or lost, and Scotland had won against Czech Republic, or if they do, they had something to hold on to against us already. Even at 0-0, they were like, we'll draw against you and we're already in pole position and you need something in your last game. So it was one of them that's just sort of set out a marker just to be like, well, we're already ahead. So I wouldn't be surprised that if they came and they were a bit cagey. It depends on their result tomorrow, really, I suppose, how they sort of approach the game. We were talking, a few of my friends, that they've still got a decent team, Scotland. Obviously, they don't have the talent that we do at their disposal, but they don't have, like, what do you call it? I mean, they've got Robertson, they've got Tierney, they've got McTominay. I'm sure they have our former goalkeeper John McLaughlin in there, but he won't be playing. It'll be Marshall. But they have some decent players there. They will cause us a threat. Just have to be careful. But like I say, it depends on their result tomorrow. If they're going to come to have a go, or if they're going to go, actually, we could do with a point as well and take it to the last game.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we've got plenty still to play for in the rest of the Euros, but today we can't really knock it, really, and I think we've got the best start we can possibly ask for, and I think that's where we'll leave it. Thanks for joining us, Conrad. Thank you everyone for watching as well. Please remember to like the video if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel. It is free to do so, and we'll see you at some point down the future. Not sure when that'll be, but for myself and Conrad, thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.